Yeah, let the big dog hunt. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Kallas Remarks with your host, Joe Staszak, along with Steve Kallas. Stephen, tomorrow will be 46 years since the United States beat the Soviet Union on a sheet of ice in Lake Placid, New York. Pretty exciting stuff this year. You know, the Soviets not involved, but the women's team, who had given up one goal the whole tournament, trailed most of the game in the gold medal game against the Canadians, and they gave up a shorty too, and early in the second period, which I thought was interesting. But hey, listen, a lot of grit. They fought back. Hillary Knight has been playing, I think, 16 years. It might be I think it's her fourth Olympics. Ties the game late. They win in over. Just an amazing win by the U.S. women. Men's going for the gold tomorrow against Canada. We'll talk about Sid Crosby and his health in a little bit. But your thoughts on that game, because I thought it was wild how they hung in there, pulled the goaltender, scored the goal, and I'll get to the play of the game that no one's really talking about in a little bit. But your overall thoughts on the U.S. women's taking the gold.
Well, the shorthanded goal was fascinating. It was, kind of a bad hop, which happens in hockey, that led to a 2-on-1 and a perfect pass. But um, O'Neill, the woman who scored the shorthanded goal, apparently, I think in college it was, led the nation twice in shorthanded goals.
Well,
So
they're doing some cherry picking, is she?
there was more. Didn't look like cherry picking, but the puck went by the defenseman, so it became kind of a 2-on-1 with somebody trailing O'Neill, who scored the goal. But really, it was Stacy. I forget her number, but Stacy, who threw an incredible pass cross ice over the defenseman's stick, and then she made an incredible move on the goalie Erin Frankel, who played out of her mind. By the way, her
Out of her
save
mind.
I think her save percentage, I think they said it was 98%. She gave up 2 goals, so she must have
Two
had a
goals.
hundred.
Two goals.
Must have had 100 shots. She had 30 saves in this game. It's not like Canada laid down or anything. The Canada had their chances, but she made some great saves. But to me, Hillary Knight, who, by the way, is still going to play hockey, I think professional hockey, and even wants to play on the championship when they have the World Championships. She said it was her last Olympic game, but you never know, though that's a good way to go out. But she was in front of the net, as often you see hockey players, men or women, and made an incredible tip in on a slap shot from the blue line. And it's incredible to me because I think it was Bennett in the men's. He made a similar tip. These pucks are 3, 4 feet off the ice. It's not like the old days when they were on the ground. You just kind of stuck your stick there and hope
Sure.
it would ricochet in. So they're high end. And then finally, I'm not cool with 3-on-3. I'm sorry. 3-on-3 to decide a gold medal, frankly. And it'll
It
be
changes it a little bit, the dynamic. In the NHL, there's such a long season. I get it. There's certainly there's been talk about that too. It's listed. It's river hockey. It's kind of fun, but I get it.
Yeah. And Megan Keller, who scored the game-winning goal, who also got an assist on the Hillary Knight goal. Um, People are saying, "Oh, a defenseman? A defenseman made that move." Meanwhile, Megan Keller is viewed to be one of the greatest offensive defensemen of all time. I'm not going to say Bobby Orr, but this is no surprise. What was the surprise? She made a move on Thompson, number 42 for Canada, who is an excellent defensive defenseman. And usually, certainly in men's hockey, and I assume in women's hockey, I don't know if she lost her balance, but what do you do when someone's coming on you one-on-one? You take the man. You don't
Take the
take the
body.
puck.
You're always taught to take the
Exactly.
body. That play works until you're about 14, in Pee Wees.
But it
After
worked.
that, it's an anomaly. It's an outlier. If it does work, you always see that move. Like a solid defenseman, you just take the body. That's all. Just stay with the body.
And the goalie got a piece of it. Goalie for Canada got a piece of it, but it was one of those go through and trickle
Yeah, I
into
went
the
under a
net.
waffle board.
But I was surprised because Thompson is considered a very good defense woman, I guess we say now. And she didn't take the body, as you just said. She didn't take the body, and that gave Keller an open shot. So and maybe one of, if not the greatest win of all time for the USA women's. Um, Keller had a goal and an assist, and Hillary Knight, the captain, who's been around forever and is apparently retiring from the Olympics, but they had a long thing after what she's playing. She wants to play in the World Championships, which I guess is next year or maybe the year after. And I wonder if they'll put pressure on her to, come back for one more because it looks like USA and Canada in women's hockey is just far ahead of the field.
Far ahead.
But
Far ahead.
congratulations to them. I mean, they could have folded. They had no pressure the whole tournament. And Erin Frankel became the first woman to have three shutouts in a row in the tournament. And when they went down 1-0, and it's getting later and later, brilliant move to pull the goalie. And that, to me, that's what gave them the opportunity to win the game in overtime.
There was a play, and we talk about 3-on-3, how dangerous it can be. If you make a mistake. Canada had a 2-on-0 from the USA's blue line, and Abby Murphy just like put it in another gear and hunted the girl down. Not only did she do that, but instead of taking a penalty, she back checked flawlessly, lifted the girl's stick. The girl didn't even get a shot on goal, but it was one of those like when you start you start almost like hyperventilating watching a 2-on-0 that turned into just a phenomenal defensive play by Abby Murphy. Kept the game at 1 apiece and allowed the U.S. to go on and win the gold.
And one more thing on Hillary Knight, if I could, the captain, of course, because she's been around forever and she's a big time goal scorer. So the goal she scored was her 15th career goal, which makes her the highest scorer in U.S. Olympic hockey history, including the men, 15 goals. So again, good for her, an incredible win. They could have folded. They were 2 minutes away from defeat. But they got the job done, and all congratulations to them.
The men's, I got Sports Center on the background. It says Sidney Crosby will try to play. Team Canada came from 2 goals down yesterday to beat Finland on a late power play goal. But Dennis McKinnon from my man.
McDavid, what a pass.
Connor McDavid. That's a tough line, man. That's a tough line. And Crosby didn't even play yesterday. It looked like they were could have been ousted, but they came back and they won. They scored late, and it's on to play the U.S. Of course, even at the Olympic level, can hockey get out of its own way? A game at 8 in the morning, like really, like you know what I mean? It's bad enough that they didn't show the 80 game live and they taped the, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, 46 years later, 8 in the morning. If you're on the West Coast, you got to get up at 5. I don't think bars are open at that time. Maybe they will be. But 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for the gold, and it looks like Sidney Crosby will try to play. It says lower body injury. I think it's his knee. I don't think that's too much of a secret. He got jammed up on the boards in the quarterfinal game. But, the Kachuk boys kind of owned the Olympics, it's just amazing. Before the even opening face-off yesterday, Matthew Kachuk's like cross-checking his guy. The ref stops it, goes back to, he does it again. He's a guy you love to hate if you play against him, but man, love to have him on your team. Brady Kachuk doing his thing, scoring goals, and it wasn't very close in the semifinal game. Yesterday the USA won, and now they are on to play Canada again once again in the gold medal game tomorrow morning. What are your thoughts?
The USA is desperate for a win for the men in the Olympics. I didn't realize it was since 1980. Of course, probably the greatest upset in the history of sport, I would think.
Yep.
I think I told you, I went to the game at Madison Square Garden. We had season tickets back then. I went to the game at Madison Square Garden, and I think the Russians won like 10-3.
They did win. You went to that game?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So when so when they actually played, it was like, come on, there's no
Right.
everybody and their mother, including my mother. They got a big hockey fan. They have no chance. They had no chance. If you saw that game, I mean, it was one of the biggest.
Saw the highlights. They were like dipsy doos and Dennis Savard, figure eights and spins, and Greg did not look like he was on his game. But even the U.S. talk about it. The players talk about it today. They say we were just in awe. Wow. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you know what I mean? Like the fact that they won that game in Lake Placid is still.
There's a real good 90-minute. I think it's on Netflix, but I'm not sure. But there is a relatively new.
Yeah, I've seen it 12 times.
Oh, okay, good.
I watch it every night. You know, I can't get enough of it. Steve Janicek is 68 years old. What that? Where did that go? Like what?
I think that means we're all getting old, Joe. That's what that means. But in any event, Finland was up 2-0. This was a big hill to climb. They didn't have Crosby, their captain and their leader. But again, you're right. That line, McKinnon, Crosby, and McDavid, I think they play on the same line because it was that one goal where I said to you, I think it was Crosby from McKinnon and David. It's got to be the highest scoring line in the history of hockey when you combine all three of them. All three, first ballot Hall of Famers. There's no doubt about that. But let me correct myself. It was Reinhardt with that tip in early to get them back in the game because you're down 2-0. It's the second period, blah, blah, blah. And then uh, once they tied it up again, I saw the high stick and are they supposed to swallow the whistle? I don't know if they're supposed to swallow. It was clearly a high stick to the face. And I even saw some stuff online where a guy said high stick to the face, parentheses, they finally called it. And then some other guy came on defending referees saying it was a clear high stick and they called it. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is Canada scored with what, 35 seconds left in
Yeah,
the game
37. I think. Yeah, it was. It
to win the
was.
game. So I think that was a big deal, but it was a high stick. I think McKinnon tried to sell it. If you can sell a high stick after you get hurt because he put his hands out like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. You fall backwards like
But you
you know
got
you
hit.
got
You got hit.
decapitated.
You got hit in the face with a stick. So I think worked out. And the McDavid pass. I mean, if you don't watch a lot of hockey and you want to see how incredible McDavid is, he was all the way. If you're facing the net, he was all the way on the
It
right
was an
side.
amazing pass.
And McKinnon was all the way on the left side. It was almost like an Ovechkin shot, but he was even closer to the goal.
One time.
And I mean the eyes. I mean McDavid's one of the greatest passers of all time. People seem to always forget what a great passer he is. But this is going to be. I think it might turn into be an ugly game. The U.S. guys. They're not going to take any grief, and Canada's not afraid to fight. But I will say, I thought they ganged up on Crosby. Then when that was a Czechia, I think it was Czechia, um, where they ganged up on Crosby. Now, look, that's what they did in the NFL. I don't know if they do it as much anymore because he's kind of protected and a superstar, but they went out of their way to get him, bang him hard against the boards. One guy, before he got hurt, with the two guys sandwiched him against the boards, which is very difficult. But another guy boarded him and then fell down on him and was lying on top of him. So I think he got hurt on the second one because when he got up, he took one good skate, and then after that, he couldn't even move his leg. He just skated off on one leg essentially. So I think he's going to play. He's a gamer. They said he did everything to play yesterday. And so that says to me, at least he was close.
He's going to try.
I asked you about this. I've never seen this before. They took the C and put it on McDavid because Crosby couldn't play, which says to me they knew he wasn't going to play earlier on. Um, but Crosby's a gamer. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think their line is the best line in the tournament, in the world, frankly, if you could have that line on the regular season. But, of course, I'm rooting for the USA and they had some big, Jack Hughes and Jack Eichel scored 2 goals in 19 seconds against Slovakia. And the big analysis there was, although they tried to make this like it would be competitive, Slovakia has 7 guys on their team that play in the NHL. Every guy on the USA team
Plays in the NHL. Yeah.
but that's kind of an advantage that they had, which eventually came out. It was 2-0, but it wound up 6-2. Uh, so, we're rooting for the US of A, but you're right. The timing is a little weird, but it's the Olympics, 1980, which again, nobody gave them a chance. I don't care who you are, no, except themselves, maybe one of those things with Brooks and everything. But that should be prime time.
Should be prime time. Is what it is. All right. Well, we shall see. Little NBA stuff going on. I know we won't even get into the trying to fix the tanking situation, but James Harden now with the Cavaliers, like he usually does, adds a little zip, a little offensive punch. Seemed to do well early on, and then we'll see what happens when the postseason comes around. But yeah, we'll see what the Cavs do. I thought it was an interesting move, and He is an offensive guy, but again, we'll see what happens when it comes time to putt for dough.
Well, he's also been passing a lot, but they're 6-0, I think, since he's been there. They're 36-21. So they were 30-21. They won six in a row. They're in the mix. Uh, I'm embarrassed to say that on Thursday, Detroit destroyed the Knicks again. On February 6th, it's only a couple of weeks ago, they beat the Knicks 118-80, and the excuse was Brunson didn't play. But it's 118-80.
That's a big difference.
On Thursday, the 19th, 13 days later, Detroit beats them in New York. Brunson plays and gets 33, and Detroit beats them in the Garden by 15. It's going to be hard for the Knicks. They're now 3-0 against the Knicks. I know if they face each other in the playoffs, and you can argue that they probably will. I know they say throw out the records in the regular season, but they seem to have the Knicks number. Cade Cunningham, he had 42, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. He's an MVP candidate. They were talking about that. He's definitely in. They came out of nowhere, Detroit. They were good at the end of last year, but now they're 41-13. And the Knicks are that magic 35-21. A lot of teams 35-21 or close to there. But it seems like Detroit clearly has their number with or without Brunson. And I think that's a problem for us New York Knicks fans. A couple other things. Now, I'm a big Kawhi fan. They beat the Nuggets. Now, maybe this is a problem for Kawhi because it was back-to-back games. And they beat the Nuggets 115-114 on Thursday. And then on Friday, they came right back. Now they're home. They're in Los Angeles. They played the Lakers and they lost. Kawhi left now look, he hurt his ankle. And I'm a big Kawhi guy, but he walked off the court, with 5 minutes left and went to the locker room, and it was a close bang bang game. And then the Clippers wind up losing by 3. Luka has 38, 11 assists, 8 threes, 6 rebounds. Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, who I love as the number 3 guy. I mean, LeBron loves him as a basketball player. They're the top 3, which I look at. I said, man, they should be able to make a run. They played 152 minutes together all year. 152 minutes. That's like a little more than 3 games. So if they stay healthy, what are we going to talk about? If they stay healthy, they're 34-21 as well now. And the Clippers are, 2 games under 500. I don't think they're going anywhere. But and the other
They
thing,
never go anywhere.
the Nuggets, after losing 1-1 to the Clippers, they go up to Portland and they beat. Now look, Portland's not good this year. They're 27-30, but they beat Portland 157-103.
Yeah, their defense didn't show up, I guess.
Um, well, I mean,
157.
I think they took it out on Portland because they lost to the Clippers the day before. You would expect the Clippers again, a sub 500 team, and now since Jokic has come back, and what is he, one more game from not being allowed to be in any of the
Yeah,
awards? That's such a shaky rule, but whatever. Um, Jokic, I think they're now 4-5 since he's come back, so it's not like they've been lining it up since he's come back. But it's the old, you don't want to play them in the playoffs. And now, I think I said they're 36-21, so maybe 21's the magic loss number. But you don't want to play the Nuggets in the playoffs. They're still a factor. I saw an interesting interview with Malika. I don't remember her last name, but the woman on ESPN who does, NBA Today every day, 5 days a week. She interviewed him and said, well, a lot of people think you just want to get home. Remember when they won the championship? And he
yeah.
said, oh, the parade's on Thursday. I want to
Yep.
go home. Did he miss the parade? I don't
No, he
remember.
made it, but he wanted to go home.
But you'll love this. He's a diehard harness racing guy. He has his own stable of horses. And he's
Of
seven,
course he does.
guys don't drive. He can jog them for practice or something. But he really has a big life outside of basketball. But to his credit, he said, no, I love basketball. I'm going to play basketball. I always want to do basketball. But secondarily, I want to get home to my family as quick as I can because I'm gone for whatever the months are, for a basketball season.
Sure.
So I give him a lot of credit. He shouldn't be criticized for that. And look, you don't want to play the Nuggets. You don't want to play the Pistons in the East. I mean, the Pistons are the best team in the East right now, no matter. I don't know about Boston. They are getting Tatum back apparently before the playoffs. And I'm on the fence on the Knicks because they've been dominated by the Pistons. So, we'll see what happens. I
We'll see
thought
what happens.
this can be quickly on the 76ers because I thought they had a chance. I mean, Embiid's starting to look like Embiid.
Yeah,
Maxi's the star of the team. They've got maybe the rookie of the year, right? I mean, I think they're sleepers right now because they just haven't won out like I thought they would. I thought they'd go on some incredible streak.
it'll come down to Embiid's health in the playoffs, as it usually does. He's going to be the fact they do have pieces that they're building. He was the centerpiece. He's not. He still makes a difference when he can play, and he was playing very well when he was playing. But that kind of has tailed off. Kind of they go as he goes, really. Because they do have pieces around him. If he can do not even what he used to do, but
Right.
put in like some pretty solid performances, they could be a competitor. Again, they haven't gone out in the second round since he's been here. It's been a while, but yeah, it's really going to come down to the health of Joel Embiid, as it usually does. So we shall see. One last thing I wanted to touch on football before we roll. Patrick Mahomes kind of did a Tom Brady, kind of spread out, restructured his contract so the Chiefs could bring in some new blood or be able to, I guess, compete in the free agent market. And so we'll see. I still think they're many pieces away from where they were, and he still has a lot of time to recover from the ACL injury, but at least it's a start. And with Andy and Brett Beach there, they're in good hands. But I think it'll still take a little while for them to bounce back and be the Chiefs that we used to
I,
see.
I think Mahomes from the get-go has probably looked at Tom Brady and his career and saying, I want to have a career like that. And
Right,
it
sure.
certainly has looked until this past season, or maybe the slaughter in the Super Bowl, 40-0 or whatever it was the year before. Um, I don't think he's going to get there, but 54 million from his salary. He's I think always taken pretty much a lesser salary. Otherwise, he'd be making, if Dak Prescott gets 60 million a year, he should get 80 million a year. I know nobody's there yet, Joe, but they did make it a signing bonus, which seems to be the trick now that you can use to get your cap space down.
Yeah, it's creative ways to do it. Yep.
There's still 9.2 million over the cap, so they have to deal with that. But the thing I saw the other day on ESPN, which I didn't know about, and maybe you do, here are their free agents on offense: Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Marquise Brown, Travis Kelce. They still, they keep playing the thing from the Super Bowl with Travis Kelce when he was like, or when they got knocked out, I guess, of making the playoffs, and he was like, "Yeah, I got to think about it. I'm not sure. I don't know." For a guy like Kelce, to me, now he's getting married, so that might make a difference. But for a guy like Kelce, he's got to be saying, "Man, I don't want to go out like that."
Right.
But he's not the Travis Kelce of yesteryear either, but he's still real good. And Mahomes is still, Mahomes and Kelce. That's like when you're in trouble, that's what you're going to get. So I have a sense that he's going to come back because I don't want to analogize it to Dan Marino 62-7 and Don Shula,
So what was
but
it? Well, but here's the thing: he comes back. Does he expect to get back to the Super Bowl?
I think if he doesn't think they have a chance, then I do think he will retire. And I don't know. Now, the new hot stuff is, they're going to get their speedster back from Miami. What's the latest with him?
Tyreek Hill, probably not. He's not quite the same either, but I mean, he's still
Oh,
pretty,
who is?
still pretty fast, right?
Who is, Joe?
Right.
I give Mahomes a lot of credit because I think he's done a real good job. But offensively, I mean, that's the two running backs, a good wide receiver, a great tight end who is still a good tight end and a good blocker. Don't forget what that is with the Chiefs. And you still got Andy Reid calling the play. So do I think they can make a run? I don't want to say they burst the bubble this year, but again, after the Super Bowl loss the year before, that was like, well, they're beatable. And they are beatable. And this year it just got worse because, of course, Mahomes tore his ACL. Would they have been able to make the playoffs with him? Maybe, maybe even probably. But you didn't see them winning, games on the road like they did a few Super
No, they
Bowls in a
were
row. So
tough to
we'll see what
watch. They
happens.
were almost as bad as the Eagles to watch offensively. Vegas has them at the over/under next year, 10.5 wins. I think that's high, to be honest with you, especially without knowing when Mahomes is coming back. I know they're pretty good at the ACL thing and they're getting better, but even when you are 100%? Are you really 100%? I mean, Adrian Peterson, that was an outlier that year. He came back after 9 months and almost broke Dickerson's record.
Right.
That's you still got, you're not as confident necessarily. You know what I mean? It takes a while to get that confidence back that your leg's going to do the things you want it to do and he does do a lot of things with his legs. So it'll be interesting to see where the Chiefs land. Lane, I know I just want to throw this in. Lane Johnson is returning for another year. I know we always talk about how the disparity in the Eagles' record with and without him. There was talk that he might retire or maybe follow Jeff Stoutland somewhere. A lot of change with the Eagles. It's funny. A year ago, winning the Super Bowl, looking like they could run it back. Everyone's in place. I wouldn't say they're hunky-dory because it's the most dysfunctional, successful team I've ever seen. But winning, the great deodorant masks a lot of the noisiness they were the year before. This year, I know they won 11 games, but it wasn't quite the same. And when the winning stops happening, then everything is more magnified. And a lot of crazy stuff going on there in Eagle Land. We're going to certainly keep an eye on it. I know everyone thinks A.J. Brown's getting moved. I'm not so sure about that. But we'll keep an eye on that. They might not. But there's a new offensive coordinator who's never called a play at any level, Sean Mannion. So I thought that's why they moved on from Kevin Patula, perhaps bringing an experienced guy in. Not so much, but we'll see. He played in the league a couple years ago, and I like an offensive coordinator who was a quarterback. I liked it, like Kellen Moore and guys who were in that position. But we'll see. Jeff Stoutland's out. Really? I never thought that would happen in a year. But so anyway, good stuff, bro. I'll check in with you tomorrow morning during the game if you're going to be up early watching. I'll be watching the USA game, and you can catch Steve's stuff on his daily Facebook forum page, Speaking of Sports with Steve Kallas, and also this podcast on YouTube and all the audio outlets. And you can follow me on Instagram at JoeStaszak4799 or on Twitter at JoeStaszak, Twitter X 975. Appreciate it, brother. Good stuff. USA. Here we go.
Always a pleasure, Joe.
You too, pal. Appreciate it, folks, for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.